I promised you that I will do a series with my Glaminatrix singles, and here we are in the first part of that Glaminatrix video. I don't have a fancy title. We have the Terra Moon trilogy, we have the Cleona Chronicles, and for Glaminatrix I need to figure out a title, but you read it at the point, but I have some time to think about it still. I have in total 30 shades from Glaminatrix, all from their single lines, and the majority of them are shimmers. In my second palette I also have 5 matte shades because they were just included in little, I don't know how they're called, they have like bundles. And sometimes there are matte shades included. And when I ordered these somewhere in 2024, in these bundles were mattes included. I'm not mad about this because I think they are quite nice, the mattes. I so far swatched them and only used 2 out of the 5. I love these types of series. Doesn't matter if it's Glaminatrix, now Terra Moon, or the Cleona ones. I love that they are now parallel going because this is just something that I like to do. It's very creative. That look that you see right now is the first actually for this video, and if you want to see a swatch of all of these, I will link down the swatch video that I did with these down below, and I will also put this plus the swatch video in a complete playlist so you can check them out. And in case you never saw this type of video from me before, like, what the hell are you doing? I mean, just check it out now. But the principle is very, very easy. I put all the shade names in a wheel of fortune, and before every look we spin the wheel together. You see what shade is chosen from that wheel, and then I build a look around that shade. But now, let's start with the looks. Let's spin the wheel for the first look of this video and of this series, and we are getting Parrot. As if the universe tries to tell me something, Parrot is this green shade here. There is actually not a lot on the Glaminatrix website to describe this other than Parrot is a mid-tone green. Yeah, it is a mid-tone green, but I think there is something else just vibing in there. There is a type of bluish undertone to it, a very interesting type of bluish undertone, because usually blue toned greens go more into the turquoisey or teal or petrol shades. Then this, it looks a bit like it was initially meant to be a more swampy green, and then someone dropped some droplets of a light blue in there. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that is what it feels like. And here in the phone video, you can clearly see that as soon there's direct light from the flash on it, or it shifts in a like low light shadow situation, the glitter is really prominent. If not, it's a very nice, just a metallic finish. I now know what it is with this green that makes me quite confident with it. It fits into this desaturated dad vibe. I just held up the ColourPop Twilight palette against it and it was a match. And so I thought, since I have used the ColourPop Twilight already for the series at some point, I think, or in general this year, you know, my goal is to use every eyeshadow pan in my collection this year. I go in with the Ghost Town USA from Nomad because I think this will just fit very well with these mattes. I mean, it is like a little bit more saturated contrast compared to the mattes, so hopefully that will work out. So I'm starting actually with Ghost Town and apply this as my transition color. I then go into Arrested Decay and I just press this here on the outer part. I'm not really blending it right now because I now go into Stagecoach Mary. Start to blend this here in the outer crease, mix it in the outer V a bit, and then bring it all the way in. So glitter glue is down. Now let's go into Parrot, and I apply this all over my lid. Slightly tap back into Stagecoach Mary, and I just run this through the crease again. For liner, I will be using some Brass Antique Goldish. It's ColourPop Wildcat, and align the waterline with that. I then go into Stagecoach Mary and smudge this along the lower lash line. And then I take Ghost Town again and softly buff it out a bit. Honestly, for inner corner highlight with this look, made with this palette and Parrot, I have tons of choices. I could go with a Tombstone. I think Quicksilver would break the look in a really nice way. Rhyolite NV is nice. Gold Rush, of course, but I feel actually drawn to Rhyolite here. Could also be Rhyolite. It seems to be a town in Nevada. But I take the shade and apply this here as my inner corner highlight. And here you have the finished look. On lips, I'm wearing MAC Dervish lip liner together with Lisa Aldrich Velvet Muse lipstick. What a start look into this series. I do really like it, and I was right. That Parrot shade fits so perfectly into this color family of desaturated colors, as if, for example, there's taken a gray and there is then added that layer of gray fogginess to it that just gives this, I like to call this a water corpse aesthetic. So let's move on to the next look. So let's spin the wheel for look number 2. And we get the shade Komodo. So Komodo is in the palette where I also have some mattes included, and it's this, I would say when I look at the pan, like gold silvery color, or even, is this, can this be considered a white gold? Something like that. The website itself actually describes Komodo as a cool toned rosy brown. What the no. I'm sorry, but absolute cool toned? Yes. But a rosy brown? Although when I look close up on here on the swatch on my hand, I see the rosiness, I see the brown coming through, so maybe that description is on point. And I think in the phone video, depending on how I tilt my hand and how the flashlight is hitting the swatch, there is definitely the brown seeking through and a hint of rosiness. The cool thing with shades like that is I can pair it with probably everything in my collection. Even rainbow palettes, this as a center shade would be awesome, but I decided to go with Huda Beauty's Pretty Grunge. I'm starting down here with the shade Law of Anarchy and use this as my transition color. I then tap into Brave and run this through the crease. And for my depth, I go into Hope, and this comes on the outer V area. I tapped on glitter glue and now I go into Komodo. I just forgot the name for a second. And I apply this all over my lid. For liner, I will be using the Nabla Cupid's Arrow in the shade Cappuccino that I dropped. And I line my waterline with that. I then tap into Hope in the Pretty Grunge and smudge this along the lower lash line. Very far down. I want to add a little bit more of this like smoky, grungy look with this. And to add the rosy tint, I also go into Brave. Use this slightly below, like in that small line between Hope and my skin. For the inner corner highlight, I stay actually in the Pretty Grunge and I take Maverick and apply it. And here we have the second finished look. On the lips, I'm wearing the Fenty Gloss Bomb Heat in the shade Fenty Glow. I think this look is the pure definition of what you are going to see in a lot of the looks, and that is just sparkly, spicy, neutral. So I'm digging this. There are days where I don't want to do the like super loud, colorful looks or dark, gothic-y, grunge looks. This, with this beautiful shimmer here, looks perfect as it is. So moving on to look number 3. And now time for the last shade of this video, probably another spicy neutral. It's a shade Lion. Okay, Lion is in my palette number 1 with only the shimmers, and it's this shade here. Ooh. Very pretty, and the Glaminatrix website, they describe this as a golden bronze. That's very spot on, very simplistic, very easy. And honestly, I can't deny that description. And in the phone flash video, you also see the pretty sparkles. I think that is just something that makes the Glaminatrix singles every single time very special, because all of them are insanely sparkly and just glamorous. And honestly, the first palette that came to my mind to pair it with a shade that is called a golden bronze is the Natasha Denona Golden. So that's my palette of choice for pairing this single eyeshadow. And I do feel kind of, I don't want to be too harsh today for the look, so I'm actually craving something more, yeah, something soft, I would even say. So I'm starting with, what am I going to do? I'm starting with a sandstone here on a super fluffy brush, and I run this directly through the crease and up into the transition area. I now pick up Aria and run this through the crease too. A super small brush and tap into lock. And I apply this here on the lash line and bring it outwards like a very, very soft, blended out cat liner look. I applied my glitter glue, and now let's pick up Lion. And I apply this all over my lid. I kind of want to go with the gold and gold and gold theme today. So as liner, I take the Satin Kajal liner in the shade Gold Lame from Victoria Beckham Beauty. And I use this to line my waterline. By the way, I don't know how much you can see, but my foundation looks horrible today because the combo of primer and foundation that I tried, they do not like each other. It kept on pilling, and I think I still have little sausages of foundation stuff here on my shirt. It is a horrible foundation day. Yeah, but that happens. You know, I have this matrix where I test foundations and primers, and now I can write it down that I will definitely not use this combo ever again. And if you're curious, it's the combo of the Armani Luminous Silk together with the Rare Beauty Illuminating Primer. These two don't like each other. But let's move on. I go now into the shade Teak. I use this to smoke out my lower lash line. For the inner corner highlight, I can happily stay here in the golden palette and either a fizzy or aura. I think I go with aura because it's one of these glitchy highlighters that has just a very, very slight and soft golden sheen. So I take that shade and apply it on the inner corner. And here you have not only the finished look, but also the last finished look of this video. On the lips, I'm wearing the Colourpop lip pencil from the New Moon collection in Hello Biceps, together with the Kaleidos matte lip cream in NU10 Tundra. Honestly, I am very, very sure that this series around the Glaminatrix singles is going to be very, very loved among people who just like to wear more neutral eyeshadows, because let's be honest, if I am 100% honest to myself, here in these 30 shades, I have at least 15 shades of neutral brown in there, but I don't mind that because looks like this, or like the second look we did in the video, are looks that I do crave too. There are just days where I'm not feeling super colory or super blackish and reddish, and a warm eye look like this, as boring as it is at the end, is just something that I personally can always come back to, because I just know that however I am combining these specific shades, I will always end up with a look that just looks very, very nice. And now, of course, let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out any of the other videos that are in this series, or in my Cleona, or in my Terra Moon series, or in the other series that I have planned, because I also have 42 of the Odin's Eye singles. And while I criticize Odin's Eye all the time, the single shades, especially the one from the first collection, they just have a beauty to them. They just have something nice to them. I think the second collection, we talked about this already, they definitely have some duds, but at the end I still like the shades overall. Like, we're talking, out of 30 shimmers from that second collection, that I have 2 or 3 that I do not like really in the formula because they're so squishy, and I never really tested them in cohesive looks. So yeah, that series is also coming. A lot of content planned. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that, and I see you soon.